Hello boaters. Well, this is a story that I remember happening, or must have been about 5 or 6 years ago now. I've been meaning to make a little video about it because it's just a bit stupid, and I thought I'd tell you about it. But I was thinking about this the other day, and I noticed that my memory about it was starting to fade just a little bit, so I thought we'd best make the video now and have done with it. I was on the South Oxford Canal and moored at Kidlington, just above Roundham Lock, and it was a nice day. It was an October day, lovely weather, and I was in the boat, I think probably on the computer at the time. It was a morning, I think it was, and I heard a woman shouting outside. Now, it wasn't on the towpath. I'll show you on the map in a minute, but fairly close to the towpath there's another public footpath, and it sounded like it was coming from there. So this woman was shouting, and it sounded quite distressed, but I didn't think she was like being attacked or anything like that. I thought she's calling for a dog. That's what it sounded like to me. So I didn't pay too much attention to it at first, but it went on and on for a minute or so, and I thought, well, I stuck my head outside to have a look. I could hear it was coming from the direction of the footpath, but I couldn't see anything because there was too much vegetation in the way, and you couldn't, even though the distance from where I was on the towpath to where I could hear the sound wasn't that great. You couldn't really get through there. You'd have to go the long way round to get there. So, well, I went back indoors. It did sound like she was calling to a dog, but anyway, it carried on. And the shrieks and the shouts, they began to get a bit more sort of urgent and more distressed. And I thought, in the end, well, I better go and have a look. You know, it must have been going on for about sort of 4 or 5 minutes at this time. So in order to get there, like I said, I had to go the long way around, which meant going down to the lock, Roundham Lock, and there's a bridge, and then the footpath connects Kidlington to Begbrook. It's quite a popular little path, and I'd have to walk down to there and then along the footpath to get to wherever this sound was coming from. So let's cut away. Before I go any further, let's just cut away and I'll show you on the map what I'm talking about. My boat was moored at the yellow marker there at the top of the screen. Down near the bottom you can see Roundham Lock and the bridge. The green path is marked, and that large star is the gateway into the field where it all happened. In order to get to the gateway, I had to walk down the canal towpath to the bridge and then along the path, so I couldn't go directly because the undergrowth was just too thick. Right, so I head down towards the lock. And as I approached the lock, and there was a boat coming up through, and just at that point a young woman came from the footpath onto the lock area, and she went up to these boaters as they were going through, and she was quite distressed, and she was asking for help, and they were just kind of ignoring her and almost laughing at her. I didn't know what was up at this time. Anyway, so she had no luck with them, so by this time she saw me, and she came up to me and she said, oh, there's her mother or something like that had a dog, and it was in the field, and it was chasing the cows around, and it was going to get trampled and killed and things like that. That's what this was all about. And she needed a phone, so she called her brother. So I'd taken my phone with me, so I handed her my phone. Call your brother, I'll go along the path and have a look. So I left my phone with her, complete stranger, and I walked along the path. Wasn't that far, probably a couple of 100 metres maybe, and anyway I got to where it was all happening, and there was this rather a large woman in the lane there in the path, and at a gate in the field opposite, you could see, or there was cattle in the field. Now I don't know I can't remember if they were cows or bullocks, but they were fully grown. You know, there was probably about half a dozen of them, and by this time her dog, which looked like a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, a Staffy, that was in the field, and it was running around the cows, and everyone was getting very agitated. You know, the cattle were sort of running around, the dog was running around barking, and but it was all over the other side of the field, so I couldn't really see quite what was happened. I don't think the dog had actually attacked the cows, but it was one of those situations that was kind of gradually escalating, and I think it could have turned nasty in the end. Anyways, so this woman was frantically shouting for a dog to come back, and it was ignoring her. So I thought, well, I don't know what I can do, because if it's not coming back when she's calling to it, I don't know what I'll be able to do. But anyway, I climbed over the gate, and that upset the woman even more, because she thought I was going to get trampled. But I know enough about cattle to not be afraid of these things. As a kid, we used to go into fields full of bullocks like that, me and a friend, and they were very curious and playful and inquisitive. They'd follow you across the field, and then we would start to run, and then they'd all start galloping behind us, and then at the last minute we'd both stop, turn around and go rah, like that, and they would all stop dead. You know, that happens. Now, cows with calves can be deadly. People get killed. You know, every year people get killed by them. But it's mainly if you've got a dog, I think. You know, cows with calves, you've got to be very careful with those. Oh, I didn't see any calves in this field, or any bulls or anything like that. So anyway, yeah, when I climbed over the gate and I was in the field, luckily at that point the dog sort of saw me and decided to come up, and it sort of ran back with the cows. All the cattle there were in pursuit. It ran back to me. It got to me. Of course, it couldn't get through the gate. It's not a huge dog, but it was sort of medium size and quite solid, chunky thing. So there was nothing for it. I had to pick the dog up and just hand it over the top of the gate to the woman. By this time, the cattle, they were almost on me, and the woman was getting really quite distressed, thinking that I was going to get trampled. And I thought, don't worry, you know, watch this, I'll show you. And I suddenly turned around. They were probably about 30 feet away from me at this time. I turned around, raced forward a couple of steps, put my arms out, went rah, like that, and they all stopped dead, just as I thought they would. Trouble is, in stepping forward a few steps like that, I ended up falling flat on my face, and it was so embarrassing. Oh, it seems like every time I act with confidence, I do something to mess it up. But anyway, so yeah, the woman was quite concerned that I'd hurt myself like that, and I did actually fall quite heavily, to be honest. I felt so stupid. But anyway, all was okay. I climbed over the gate. By this time, the other young woman had caught up with us, so she handed me my phone back. She'd managed to phone her brother or whatever like that, and the dog was now back on a lead. And well, they thanked me profusely, and we all carried on our way. I went back to the boat, and I just felt so silly, though. I'd messed up this demonstration of confidence that was supposed to. I don't know. These things happen. Anyway, I thought I'd tell you that story. Hope you found it amusing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.